I say what? Ho, it's Brian. Call me, I don't have a name this week. Call me Brian Gardner, and you are listening to Ramble On Radio, episode 40. We've made it to 40, the big 4-0. I'm coming to you live from, well, pre-recorded live from the Dungeon Studio and Ramble. I'm doing this completely off the top of my head, so I'm trying to remember my bit. From the Dungeon Studio in the basement, the Ramble On Towers, etc., etc. Be sure to go to Ramble On Radio is the only Led Zeppelin podcast on this or any other known internet. Be sure to go to rambleonradio.com for all your Led Zeppelin news and reviews. You can also pick up this podcast on iTunes. You subscribe. If you do, leave a review. Give us a few stars, 3, 4, 5 if you're happy. You can pick us up on Spreaker. You can listen to us on SoundCloud now, and it is making its way over into YouTube, but it's not my Ramble On Radio account. It's I Am Brian Damas, the account, and I can put it on the one account. I can't put it on the other. I can't figure out why, and I haven't figured out how to move it from one account to the other yet. It's all a cluster stup, but it's getting done, and I'm really looking forward to 2014. I'm going to kind of try and mesh all this, and that's the goal, is to get me to 2014 and then mesh it all together a bit, and hopefully kind of grow and build and stuff. You know, the nice thing about doing the non-scripted, the change I made a month or two ago is days like today, I can just go. I had something else planned. I completely, utterly planned out 3 pages written, notes, everything of something else. And then I woke up today and realized it was the anniversary, and I was going to do it on the weekend. I didn't get to it. I've been busy. And I woke up today and realized it's the anniversary of Celebration Day. It is December 10th, 2013 right now. And of course, December 10th, 2007 was the Led Zeppelin reunion concert that we all thought would, well, many of us, including, well, let's just say I thought would lead to something bigger or better, and didn't. So what I had planned was, and I'm gonna do this hopefully in the next week or two. I mean, I'm thinking next week, but something could come up. The DJ Redbeard in 2003, I think it was, did an interview with Robert Plant on his releasing of the 9 Lives. He did this interview with Robert, and he's just put the interview on his Facebook page or on his website, so you can stream it and listen to it. In the Studio with Redbeard, it's called Robert Plant's 9 Lives Best Of. And he points out in the post that he puts up, that 2013 is the anniversary of the 30th anniversary of Prince of the Moments, the 25th anniversary of Now and Then, the 20th anniversary of Fate of Nations. So I was going to go over, have a long discussion about those 3 albums specifically in Robert Plant's solo career. I'm still going to do it before 2013 is over. Or maybe we'll hit it on New Year's Day, because there will be a New Year's Day release. So not that I've recorded on New Year's Day. That'll be a good one. This is Brian. So yeah, we'll have to try and get it New Year's Eve, so it's a little livelier maybe. So we'll get to that. I think it's a possibility of being a very good one, actually. And I've listened to those 3 albums fresh, and I also posted on the Facebook page, I posted the question, what songs would you put on like a Robert Plant best of if you were going to make a playlist? And got a few suggestions, and right off the bat, a couple of guys jumped to some live stuff, which I kind of meant off the studio albums. I'm kind of thinking of doing a playlist, and I want it to be, off those, more or less those 9 albums. Yeah, go to the Facebook page. I'd love to hear what you think should be on a best of. If you were in charge of the CDs at Warner, or just if you're doing your own playlist, what's on it? What's on? All right, a couple of notes. Led Zeppelin got a couple of Grammy nods. One for, I think, best album, best rock album, and as I posted on the blog from the No Shit Sherlock files, best rock performance for Kashmir. And there's been some online debate about whether it's the best version of Kashmir that celebrates, from Celebration Day, by the way, whether the Celebration Day Kashmir is the best version of Kashmir. I'll only go so far as this to say is, name a better rock performance released in the last year. And I'm listening. I don't care if it's Kashmir. I don't care if you think it's Good Times, Bad Times. I don't care if you think it's Black Dog or Rock and Roll or In My Time of Dying, or any of the other stuff. But, name another band that put out a better one than Kashmir. And I think you have. Otherwise, it's a bit of a moot debate. Yes, maybe 75 is better, but they didn't get a Grammy in 1975. So, you know what I mean? They weren't giving out best bootlegged version of Kashmir in 1977. So you have to go with what you got. Okay. One last thing. I mentioned on the Christmas one, I think that was last week. They start to run into each other here a bit. But James Dillon did a really good Robert Plant picture. He's got it for sale now. Go to his Facebook page and you can order it. He's got prints. I forget the prices. I mean, the actual picture, the drawing, he is also for sale. That's like $2,000. If you really love your Led Zeppelin fan, that would be something. It's an exceptional drawing. It's the full picture of him holding the dove, Robert Plant holding the dove. But he's also got, a couple of different screen print or some different types of printing style. And one I think is 100 and one is 50. And I'm going to try and get a hold of James and maybe in the next couple of weeks get him on and to talk about it. Going to try, but we'll see. But anyway, onward ho to Celebration Day, and I got to tell you, I went. I don't know if you ever picked that up before. I went. I was there. I goated. And a matter of fact, this blog, the blog / this podcast, are a direct result of that. The story goes that basically I'd be sitting at dinner going, they're saying they're going to play a song they never played before. And talking about the ruminations that's online and stuff, and you can see my family just rolling their eyes. He's talking about Led Zeppelin again. So I started a blog. It was as simple as that. And this podcast basically was a result of me sitting thinking, okay, the blog has gone X far. It's doing this, that. What's the next level? And Facebook was covered by, Steve Sauer and Jeff Strawman both had Facebook really covered, and as did Dave Lewis. Dave Lewis had the blog side really, really covered. He had a lot of the up-and-coming day-to-day news stuff really covered. He had the print magazines. Nobody seemed to be doing a podcast, so that's where the podcast comes from. But it's a direct result of me getting tickets to Celebration Day. And I'm referring to it in a Celebration Day just because it's the easiest thing. It was not called that until last year. It was the O2 show, I think, is what most people called it. And to tell you the truth, when the tickets came up, I kind of emailed a couple of friends, two of them, and I said to one, okay, Ron, you're in charge of tickets. Brent, you're in charge of explaining this to the wives. I'll book a flight. And it was, it's a joke. I take the easy roll. But I put my name in, and I figured it was more of a kick. I really wasn't planning on going if my name was picked. I didn't think, it was going to be a couple of grand out of pocket, which is a big deal, right? But then as it started, the kind of a bit of anticipation built, and one night I was sitting at dinner with actually my friend Brent, the one I talked to, and he couldn't. There was no way he was going. But he, we were talking about it, and I kind of said to my wife afterwards, I wasn't planning on it if I won tickets going, but I says, I'm at the stage where if I get those tickets, I'm going to want to go. And she goes, if you get the tickets, we'll talk. So sure enough, my name came up in the draw, and she loves to tell the story of me running upstairs on my knees. Really, it was all fours. It was, you run and my feet run, my hands run the stairs as well. I come up and I kind of poked my head. I didn't even go up the stairs. I got to the top stair and poked my head over and went, I got tickets. And so she's going, well, your brother was here this weekend. Call him. He'll go. So I called my brother. And it was my big mistake was I called my brother and we worked it. We chatted with him and we sorted stuff out. And then I went out online and ordered the tickets. And we had tickets lined up for like about halfway down the arena side, on the left stage left, but halfway down. And of course you're up at the fifth row, right? And my brother didn't want to go for floor seats. They're standing around. Wine. I'm so old. And then. But for something, the website had problems that evening, and I didn't get those tickets. And I kept trying, and I kept getting tickets in the same area, and then it wouldn't follow through. It wouldn't go through to the end. It was just crashing. So I got up at like 4 in the morning. I leave for work at 5. I get up at 4:30. I got up a little earlier. I got up a quarter after 4. So try it again. And this time I got tickets, but they were about 2 or 3 rows closer to the stage, which meant we were actually side stage for much of the show. For the show, we were pretty much side stage. We were probably one section in from side stage. So a lot of the stuff that went on, and we kind of missed that, right? The screens and all that. We weren't really getting that. Greatly though, I was overseeing Jimmy Page. I was watching him with his tech, and I was looking right at his, like almost I could spit on his guitar sort of thing. So my mistake was calling the brother, and I really should have just got the tickets. I'll figure somebody who wants. But you think of $250 tickets, I think that was the price. I want to make sure that I've sold it before I buy it. You know what I mean? In reflection, somebody was going to take the ticket. And there were people hanging around there who would have paid me. Matter of fact, I guess screw my brother, probably paid for my flight. Not that was, the truth is my brother organized a nice hotel, and he did all the flight stuff. He did the legwork. I got the tickets. He did all the rest of the crap. I have no complaints. But yeah, if I hadn't talked to him, I might have gone for floor seats. I almost certainly would have got a much better seat kind of further back a little, so we could have seen more of the stage. The hour, A, he talked me out of floor seats, and B, and watching when we were there, even he said to me, "Yeah, we should have got floor seats. I shouldn't have stopped you from that one." But if I phoned him and said, "Okay, we're going. I got floor seats," what's he going to say, right? So that's but that's neither here nor there. Look, I had a great time. I loved the show. I had no issues whatsoever with where we sat. It was, other than, I guess my one issue was there was a speaker in the way from John Paul Jones. Between my cell line of sight and John Paul Jones was a speaker. So I never saw much of him over the course of the night. But I saw lots of Jason, saw lots of interaction with Jason and Jimmy. You see it on the movie and the DVD and Celebration Day, but we were watching it at the time, and there was a lot of just kind of eye contact between the two of them. But it was it was a magic night. It really was something special was happening that night, and you felt it. You felt it in so many ways. There was such a buzz in the air. And you go up to the place, and there's all this activity outside even, and it was all cool. And then you go in, and I got to tell you, London in December is a cold place. It's not a nice place. It's damp and dark, and we had a hell of a couple of days. I'm telling you, man, it's because it's quite northern. You don't realize how far north England and London is until you're there in December, and it's getting dark at 3:30, and it's been raining all day anyway. Oh God, in comparison, I was there in July this year, and it was light till 11 o'clock. So there's it was great out. It was beautiful. They were closing the bars, and there was still some lights in the sky almost. It was just perfect. Except for the bars closed too early, but that's another story. We got there. I've got to tell this story. We're sitting in our seats, and this couple in front of us is kind of younger couple, right in their 20s, and they're kind of randy. And the guy behind us reaches over and smacks this guy in the head. He's a typical English guy, read too much Beano growing up or something. "I'll fucking kick your ass," he says. Stop enough of that. And I mean, it was get a room time, right? Well, Since I've Been Loving You comes on, and I'm not kidding, she hikes up her shirt and crawls onto his lap, or hikes up her skirt and crawls onto his lap, and just roll. And I will never hear Since I've Been Loving You again and not think of how sexual the song is. They did it right there. And I said to my brother, I don't know whether to watch the song or videotape these guys on my phone and put it on YouTube tomorrow. Sadly for you guys, I paid attention to the song. So we're there, and the lights go down. And first off, it's Emerson, Lake and Palmer, basically, right? They do Fanfare for a Common Man, which is a great stuff. Oh, this is great. I love this piece. This isn't a crappy piece of music they're starting with, you know. And then in come the Rhythm Kings. In case you were there, if you were there, you know this. If you weren't there, the Rhythm Kings come in, and they just roll through a bunch of different people. And I almost don't remember 90% of them, I would say. The ones that stick out is Paul Rogers did 2 songs. Paolo Nutini, I remember, I think he did a Ray Charles song. But only because there was a lot of talk about him because he was the young guy. He was the new guy. That's the only reason I actually remember him. I don't really remember a whole lot of some big guy in a red suit, I remember, but I'm not sure who it was. But then, so they're done, and Foreigner's going to come on next. It's going to be Foreigner. And they change out the drums, and they change out all the gear. New keyboards come up, new amps, new... And Foreigner comes out and does I Want to Know What Love Is. That's it. They change out the friggin' band, 15-minute wait, while they set up the drums so the drummer could pull out the brushes. Like, really, you could... Jason Bonham's the regular drummer. So you couldn't use the guy who was it Simon Kirk, I think, was drumming regular. Like, Simon Kirk couldn't have done You Want to Know What Love Is. And they're changing up the gear. You're expecting a set, right? Some Hot Blooded, some Feels Like the First Time, maybe Cold as Ice. And then I get you throwing one of the ballads, but you're thinking 5 or 6 songs, right? No, that was it, the one song. It was very weird. I mean, why the guitar player needs his own amp for You Want to Know What Love Is, or why the keyboards that were there aren't sufficient. Like Keith Emerson doesn't have a synth that sounds like You Want to Know What Love Is. Is that what you're trying to tell me here? So anyway, that was done. And that was very strange. And then they went off for half an hour, and Led Zeppelin came on spot on at 9:00, to the nose. It was 9:00, and it was virtually to the nose, a 2-hour show. And that first, you know, it's funny. There was a lot of talk about would they open with Good Times, Bad Times. I remember it distinctly. And it just seemed to be the logical thing, and everybody thought they were going to do it, and they did it. But it was boom, there's the lights flickering with it, and it was just an oh my God moment. And then I remember Ramble On comes next. And they're about halfway through Ramble On, which has never been a song I love or hate. It's just a song, right? But Ramble On is, it's just, you know, it's just one of those songs. I like it, but I don't, it's not one of the ones I love the most. I wouldn't put it in my top 10 Led Zeppelin songs, you know? But it was about halfway through that song, I got the first chill of the night. Just, oh my God, this is unbelievable. You know, and as I kind of looked at my brother, and he looked at me at the exact moment with the same smile. I know, you just got to chill too, didn't you? Oh, yeah. It was just, there was something wow about it. And a lot of talk about they changed the keys of songs, and Good Times, Bad Times was done in D, and Ramble On was done in D. But Ramble On really worked, to my mind, really worked in the lower key. The tempo they set for it and the key really, really worked. That was one of the exceptional songs. And then they broke into Black Dog. And then of course Robert Plant does his little Plantations thing. All good. Then out comes, you know, In My Time of Dying. Jesus, that was good. That was so hot. And people talk about, you know, did they add sounds to the Celebration Day CD? When they kick in the whole band, the first notes, boom, boom, boom. Jimmy's guitar didn't do those first 2 notes. He had changed pickups and didn't have the volume up. It was a dead spot. Well, the bass and the drums hit. The guitar didn't come in until the 3rd note. You won't notice that on Celebration Day. that was the one, kind of the one. I'm sure there were many errors, and I'm sure if you listen to Celebration Day closely, you'll pick them up. And certainly if you listen to Bootleg, but I really, you know, I'm not one who sits and picks up errors necessarily. That one I picked up right away. Oh boy, he missed his volume pot on that one. But In My Time of Dying was another one of those moments with the chills. And it was also the moment when you realized this is it. This is for real. They're not doing 2 or 3 songs. They're not doing, you know what I mean? In My Time of Dying is a song that steps a little outside of the mainstream. And so it was, they're going to do a set for the fans. They're going to do a full set. They're going to do, and you knew all that, you knew all that going in. But that was kind of the moment when it became very real. I think it was about the solo of In My Time of Dying where I just thought, yeah, baby, this is happening. This is it. After In My Time of Dying, they rolled on to For Your Life, and it was an odd moment too because it's not one of the more known, more popular songs. They never did it live before, but they also never, like, it's not one you think of as, oh, there's that great Zeppelin song, And I was almost kind of, I barely know this song, And there was rumors. I had listened to it because there was rumors they were going to play it, and no doubt they came from Jason because he's the talkative one. But yeah, it was a bit of a okay, and I'm catching on to the song almost as that. Dave Lewis talks about it being the moment where he kind of goes, "Oh, this is for real." That he couldn't believe they stepped into that song, and I was more the other. It was more of a okay, so this is a bit of an outlier for me. Then it goes into a fairly normal pattern, right? Trampled Underfoot, Nobody's Fault But Mine, complete with harp solo, and you're kind of thinking, okay, so it's like a 77 show in a way, isn't it? And a good one, by the way. It was a great show. No Quarter, Since I've Been Loving You, what with the sexes and stuff. And then Days of Confused came up, and I remember being a little worried. I'm not nuts on the long solos, the long drawn out solos, and I was thinking after No Quarter, because No Quarter comes on, you go, okay, and it does fairly routine 1973-ish kind of version, right? Not too long in the piano solo, not too long in the guitar solo, nicely done, but not chopped up either. So Days Confused, out comes the violin bow, and you're thinking, okay, they've already said it's going to be a 2-hour show. I hope he's not doing half an hour of this. I hope he's not. And we're an hour into it now, so it's going to be this and go home. But he really didn't do that. He really kept it fairly tight. Okay, a little mic problem there. I hope that's solved now. So he kept it tight, and it was excellent. It was, and as it's going, you're thinking, one of those moments where you're thinking, I get this. Same goes for No Quarter, right? You're thinking, I kind of get this now. I kind of get what's going on with this song live. More, and I'd always heard it was one of the exceptional songs on the live show, and it's that happens. Interesting thing, a young couple sitting next to us, and my mic's still screwing up, by the way. You're gonna have to live with some echo. Sorry, I don't know what's causing that all of a sudden. There was a young couple sitting next to us. Nice girl, actually. I'm saying 1920, and they got up and left after Stairway to Heaven. Obviously, they'd say, "Oh, well, they lived in London, I think." So obviously, they got a chance to get tickets and thought, "Oh, we'll go." And there's that band that does Stairway to Heaven, and there were fundamentally times. There were times when particularly the girl kind of looked like, what the heck is this? I can tell you during Since I've Been Loving You, she kept looking behind her. Couldn't see if that guy was coming across the seats for the couple in front of us. But there were times in the show, and you could just kind of, almost feel her going, what the fuck have I got myself into? Then they enjoyed Stairway to Heaven, and then up and gone. Okay, we're done. We paid $250 to see that song. I guess. I don't know. They talk about the tunings. They talk about the tunings being low. The only song I really noticed it on was The Song Remains the Same, and I didn't like it on The Song Remains the Same. And it was immediate. To me, it was immediate. He broke into that song, and I went, oh, they got that tune down. That was just... it was just one of those things. And Song Remains the Same is a funny song to me. I love it live. I love all through the Zeppelin years, the live versions. I loved it live when we saw them, Page and Plant, when they did it in '94. I loved it. But I don't like the studio version very much. And I didn't like the O2 version very much. So it's a funny song. It's when they do it right, and they usually did it right, I love it. But step out of that, and yeah. And then to me, Misty Mountain Hop is the funniest choice of the bunch, I think. And I know they played it a lot through the years, and boy, it's not a song I would have put in there. If you're talking to me about it, it's a no. Let's go with X, Y, Z. I can think of 20 songs, right? Yeah, that's a funny. It's always obviously they like it. Obviously, it's a song that they dig. And I can tell you, when I went with my daughter to see the movie, that was the song she liked the most. So, it's not that it's a bad song. Maybe it's just me, but I just consider that kind of one of their. That's an okay song, And but they seem to really be big on it. And yeah, I thought that was an oddball. But anyway, and then comes Kashmir. Oh, Kashmir just thumped. And anybody who thinks Jason wasn't John that night or anything, I can tell you, coming out, people were going, I can't believe how good he was. And Kashmir was one of the tracks where he was so powerful, so over top of everything else, so much thump there. And it was great. He was great. And yeah, I mean, it's a great example of how good he was. Jason Bonham was that night, and he was on top of his game. And I'm telling you, sitting in the stands, he was a dominant player that night. Almost more noticeable than the others. Just such thump. Now, obviously, they can do that with microphones and stuff. It's not like, but yeah, that side of Led Zeppelin, which you don't necessarily get in albums, how much power his dad put into the band, you got a good impression of that night. Whole lot of love, and I wasn't really intending to just run through everything here, but I'm doing it, I guess. Whole Lot of Love is funny. There was one point, in the middle when I thought, he's going to break into Boogie Mama. It almost sounded like this happened, and they stopped, and I wanted to go backwards a bit. Misty Mountain Hop, they mentioned Jason singing, and I really thought they were going to go into the ocean. Because, of course, his dad does the "For Already." I thought for sure that's what they were going for. And, it wasn't until the movie came out I realized he did harmonies on that. And that's why they did the little vocal bitty with Jason. Have him singing, You Shook Me, wasn't it? I Know I Can't Quit You. I had him belt out just a line of that. And I did not realize that the reason was because he was putting the headset on to do harmonies until I saw Celebration Day. So that was kind of... but anyway, yeah, back to A Whole Lot of Love. So yeah, I thought they were going to break into the medley at one point. And I kind of wish they did. But, you can't do everything, and I get that. And then the thing I remember about rock and roll is Jimmy dancing on stage. He did a little... almost a duck walk, right? And he wasn't doing much of that sort of stuff. When we see him in '94, right, he was all over the stage. And he walked out going, "Wow, the guy is he's in motion constantly." But he was 60 now. By 2007, was he 60? So he might have slowed down a little in the interim. That's just possible, eh? But I remember him doing a little kind of duck walky thing across the stage at one point, and then laughing. Him and Jason laughing as he did it, and it was clear he was having just fun. And it was a good old romp. That's it. That's, I guess, my impressions from the day. We went back to the hotel afterwards, and it was one of those. I had been sick. I'd actually been sick the whole trip, before and after the show. I had a really nasty cold. It was kicking the shit out of me. And my brother thought I was, what am I traveling with this guy? Because, we go to the bars and I'd be ordering the flat beer. I quickly discovered the flat beers. I could stomach them a lot easier. But I'd have one, and my brother'd have 3 Guinness, and he's going, "Really, come on, drink, man. Have a nice time here." And I go, I just can't. I can't stomach this stuff. And I was eating, he's eating good. He's a good hearty eating, and I'm. Can you give me some toast and fruit? It was a bit embarrassing to be with, but and I was going to the bathroom forever, peeing like crazy. But all that aside, that night we get back and nobody wants to go to bed. No, we go down to the hotel we were staying at. And we were out in Blackheath, John Paul Jones romping grounds, which I didn't know at the time. I think I would have gone to the church where he was did the organ if I'd known. But they have a nice bar in the basement, and we went down there, and there was another 8 or 10 people who had been at the show, and everybody's drinking and having some food, and nobody wanted to end, and they kept pushing us out. They had about 4 rooms, right? And the main bar is closing, but you can sit in this room. Okay, this room's closing, but you can sit in the back of this back room, the couches. So we ended up with about 8 of us at 2, 3 in the morning, sitting in this back room on the couches drinking while the guys were bringing us beers. Until finally they come down and say, okay, the porter will bring you beer at your rooms. You have to go to a room now. So we all went off to somebody's room and had a couple more drinks. And it was, didn't take anybody's number, didn't keep up with any of those people, don't remember any of their names, just know that none of us wanted the night to end. That was the key thing I remember. I so remember that. Never wanted the night to end. And, it was a great night. It was a great, great concert. It was a great event. And it was 6 years ago tonight. And here it is about 8:15 p.m., which means I was, all those years ago, I was just having a good old time, enjoying every second of it. And I know other people who went, the same thing. It keeps coming up and up and up. What a great event it was. What a great time they had overall. Not just the show, but the boys stepped up too. They really played well. As you know, and I'm going to go crawl into bed now, post this thing online and throw Celebration Day in the DVD player. And I'll remember just how great it was. And it was great night. And, it's why I'm here right now. It's why I'm talking to you, sneak off the basement away from my family, chatting away to you guys, really. And I have no more to say on it. That's issue number 40. I'll be back next week, either talking about Robert Plant, or I'll have Dave Lewis or Jason I wanted to say Jason Bonham on. Yeah, if Jason Bonham will come on, I'll have him on too. James Dillon. I'll have either one of those two guys on, or it'll probably be the Robert Plant. We'll see how that's all going. And that's it. That's Ramble On Radio, episode 40. The big 40 is over and done with. Go to rambleonradio.com for all your news, reviews, etc., etc. Listen to us on Spreaker. Review us on iTunes. Subscribe. And of course, check it out on SoundCloud, as well as YouTube. If you find I am Brian, damn it, all one word. That is it, my friends. You have a nice night. You have a nice week. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.